All right, so get ready, because today we're diving into some seriously deep stuff about suffering and solace
Mm-hmm.
from Allan Kardec's The Gospel According to the Spirits.
Okay.
This book, as you know, it's like a foundational text in Spiritism.
Yeah.
And we're going deep into Chapter 6 today.
Okay.
It's called The Consoling Christ.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And it's pretty heavy, right? It's all about like how we experience suffering as humans and how we can find comfort.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of starts right off the bat with that line from Matthew,
Oh, yeah.
chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, where Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest."
Yeah. That's powerful, right? It really resonates. Like life can be such a struggle.
Yeah.
Kardec, he connects this to faith being like a source of consolation.
Yeah.
And he even says that like doubt and uncertainty, those things can actually make our suffering worse.
It's interesting.
Yeah. But he doesn't just say like, oh, just have blind faith.
Yeah.
He connects it to action.
No, so,
He talks about taking on what Jesus calls his yoke.
oh yeah, the yoke.
So for anyone listening, the yoke is like a metaphor for accepting Christ's teachings,
Okay.
especially the law of love and charity.
Right. Right.
But Kardec says this isn't supposed to be like a burden.
Really.
Yeah, he actually calls it an easy yoke and a gentle law.
That's interesting because that sounds kind of contradictory, right? Like, how can taking on more responsibility
Right.
actually be easy?
I know, that's what I was thinking too. I'd love to hear like how he explains that.
Well, he basically says that when you build your life around love and compassion, it brings you peace.
Okay.
And that makes everything feel lighter,
Yeah.
because you're aligned with something bigger than yourself.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's not about like rigidly following rules.
Yeah.
It's more about like cultivating this inner state of being.
Yeah. So it's like faith is an active thing.
Mm.
It's not just a belief. It's like it can help us deal with all the tough stuff in life.
Yeah, I like that you called it active. That's a good way to put it.
Well, Kardec doesn't stop there. He actually brings up another source of comfort too.
Oh, really? What's that?
It's the spirit of truth.
Okay.
You know that part in John chapter 14,
Mhm.
verses 15 through 26, where Jesus promises to send this other consoler, the spirit of truth?
Oh, yeah. I remember that part.
It makes you wonder, though, why would we need another one?
Yeah, like what's the difference?
Right. Well, Kardec says that Christ didn't reveal everything when he was alive. Like some teachings were kind of hidden or told in these like parables.
Okay.
So Kardec thinks the spirit of truth is here to like clarify all that.
Oh, so to help us understand it better.
Exactly, like peeling back the layers of an onion to find the real meaning.
I like that analogy.
And this is where it gets really interesting because Kardec believes that Spiritism itself
Okay.
is like the fulfillment of that promise.
Wow.
He thinks Spiritism is guided by the spirit of truth to give us a clearer picture of Christ's message.
That's a pretty bold statement.
I know, right? So how exactly does Spiritism offer comfort, especially to people who are struggling? Like what makes it different from other belief systems?
Well, one big thing is that Spiritism doesn't just look at suffering in this lifetime.
Okay.
It brings in the idea of reincarnation in past lives.
Oh, wow. So like our experiences now are shaped by our past choices.
Exactly.
So instead of seeing suffering as random or like a punishment, you start to see it as part of like a bigger spiritual journey.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So suffering becomes like this opportunity for growth,
Like a salutary crisis is what he calls it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this understanding can help us accept things,
Yeah.
and find meaning in our pain instead of just feeling like a victim.
Right. So it's not about just getting through it.
No.
It's about using it to transform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to show this, Kardec actually includes a bunch of direct messages
Oh, really?
from the spirit of truth in this chapter.
Wow, from the spirit of truth.
Yeah, and these messages were received through mediums. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I bet our listeners would love to hear about them.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that the spirit of truth talks about?
Well, the big theme is the importance of love
Okay.
and education and really understanding the true meaning of Christianity.
So going back to that core message of love and compassion.
Exactly. And there's also a focus on comforting those who are suffering,
Okay.
especially the poor, reminding them that their struggles are not in vain.
That's powerful. It's like a reminder that no matter how much you're hurting, you're not forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this deeper meaning to your experience.
Right. It's not just about comfort, though. These messages, they also emphasize the importance of hard work
Oh, okay.
and devotion and even self-denial as like crucial steps for spiritual growth.
Oh, so even in our daily struggles, those things that maybe don't feel very spiritual, there's still an opportunity for growth.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty amazing how Kardec elevates like the status of work.
Yeah.
He suggests that even ordinary actions, they can become acts of devotion if you approach them with the right mindset.
Yeah. And contribute to your spiritual progress.
Exactly. It's all about finding the sacred in the everyday, even when you're suffering.
It reminds me of that saying, chop wood, carry water.
Oh, yeah. I love that one.
Like even those simple tasks can be meaningful if you're mindful.
Absolutely. And, running through all of these messages, there's this constant reminder that we're not alone in our struggles.
Yeah.
And that connecting with the divine can bring strength and healing.
Oh, like a lifeline, especially when things are tough.
Exactly. And speaking of lifelines, one of the sources you sent me, there's this part where the Spirit of Truth calls itself the great doctor of souls.
Wow, yeah, that's such a powerful image.
Yeah, that one's specifically for people who are going through hard times. It encourages them to find comfort in God.
Okay.
And not in like material possessions or fleeting pleasures.
Right.
It's about turning inward and finding true peace from within.
That idea of finding healing through connecting with the divine, I think that might resonate with a lot of our listeners.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if you've ever felt that sense of peace from prayer or meditation.
Definitely. But, Kardec doesn't just like talk about these messages in the abstract.
What do you mean?
He actually shares the exact words that were received, through these mediums.
Oh, right.
He was very careful about mediumship, though, always emphasizing the need for discernment.
Of course.
But he believed that through mediums, you could actually access wisdom from higher spiritual beings.
Okay, so including the Spirit of Truth.
Right.
That's incredible. I'm so curious to hear what the Spirit of Truth actually said, like through one of these mediums.
Sure.
Is there an example you could share with us?
Oh, yeah. There's this one message. It's addressed to people who are facing poverty and hardship. And it acknowledges how much they're going through, even comparing their suffering to the tears shed in the Garden of Olives.
Wow. That's heavy, connecting their pain to the suffering of Christ.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It validates their experiences and shows them that their pain matters.
Right. It's not being dismissed or minimized.
Exactly. And then it goes on to offer comfort and encouragement.
Oh, what does it say?
It says that consoling angels will come to wipe away their tears.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's like a promise that even in the darkest moments, there's still love and support.
Yeah, both from the divine and from those around us.
I wonder, does the Spirit of Truth address any other specific groups in these messages?
Yes, actually, there's one directed at workers.
Workers.
Yeah, urging them to find meaning and purpose in their labor.
Okay.
It recognizes the physical challenges of their work and how often it goes unappreciated.
Yeah, for sure.
But it reminds them that their souls are not forgotten. And it emphasizes that nothing is lost in the kingdom of our Father.
Wow, so even our struggles in the material world, they contribute to our spiritual growth.
Yeah, and that they will be acknowledged in the afterlife.
That's really reassuring, I think, especially for anyone who feels like their work is overlooked or undervalued.
Exactly. Your worth isn't tied to your job title or your paycheck.
Right. It's about the dedication and love you bring to what you do.
Exactly. And that ties back to what we were talking about earlier about taking on the yoke of Christ's teachings.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, it's not about like withdrawing from the world.
Yeah.
It's about finding ways to bring love and purpose into everything you do.
So it's not about grand gestures.
Right.
It's about the everyday choices we make.
Exactly. And it's through those small, consistent actions that you cultivate inner peace.
Okay.
And connect with the divine and make the world a more loving place.
That's a great point. And these are just a few examples of the wisdom shared through Spiritism.
Right. And they're like an invitation to explore these ideas further.
Yeah.
And discover the transformative power of Spiritism in your own life.
Absolutely. Speaking of exploring further, I'm curious about that message you mentioned before where the Spirit of Truth calls itself the great doctor of souls.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us more about that one?
Of course, that message is really interesting because it talks directly about suffering.
Okay.
And it offers comfort, but it also challenges us to look at how we relate to pain.
This might be a good time for our listeners to pause and reflect on their own experiences with suffering.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that need to seek comfort from something beyond the material world?
The Spirit of Truth encourages us to find strength and solace in our connection with the divine.
Okay.
And not in temporary things like possessions or pleasure.
So it's about cultivating that inner connection, that sense of peace and purpose that comes from aligning yourself with something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. It's about humility and surrender and opening yourself to guidance from the Spirit.
It sounds like by aligning yourself with the divine, will you become more receptive to healing and a deeper sense of purpose?
That's the idea. It's a message of hope and resilience.
Yeah, reminding us that we have access to this wellspring of strength and support, that can help us through anything.
In that message, it really aligns with the core principles of Spiritism.
How so?
Well, it emphasizes the connection between the material and spiritual realms.
Okay.
And the transformative power of love and faith.
It's beautiful. It's a reminder that even when we're suffering, we're not alone. And true healing and transformation are always possible. It's interesting, right? We've been talking about this idea of finding comfort in the midst of suffering.
Yeah.
But it seems like the messages from the Spirit of Truth are offering something even deeper than that.
Yeah, I think so too. It's not just about enduring hardship.
Right.
It's about using it as a catalyst for growth,
Oh, so it's not about pretending the pain isn't there.
Right.
But like changing our relationship to it.
Exactly. Even in those dark moments, there's this potential for learning and growth.
Yeah.
For becoming more compassionate and resilient.
And that takes us back to Kardec's idea that Spiritism is the fulfillment of Christ's promise.
Yeah.
That promise of another consoler, the Spirit of Truth.
It's a bold claim, but it makes sense when you think about it.
Right.
Kardec doesn't sugarcoat the reality of suffering.
No.
But he offers a way to understand its purpose,
Yeah, within this larger spiritual context, for our listeners out there, what's resonating with you the most from this deep dive? Is it the idea that faith can be this active force that helps us through challenges? Or maybe the concept of suffering as a catalyst for spiritual growth?
I think those are both really powerful ideas. Whatever speaks to you the most, just remember that you're not alone in your struggles.
Right.
There's a deeper meaning to be found in your pain.
Yeah, and Spiritism gives us a unique perspective on how to access that meaning.
And find true peace and fulfillment.
So if we had to boil it all down, what are the key takeaways from this exploration of the consoling Christ?
Well, first and foremost, suffering is universal.
Right. It's a part of life.
Yeah, it's woven into the fabric of being human.
But it doesn't have to define us.
Exactly. It's so important to remember.
Suffering might be part of the journey, but it's not the destination.
Right. And that brings us to the second takeaway. Understanding the purpose of suffering can totally change how we relate to it.
Oh, yeah. Like we can shift from feeling like a victim to feeling empowered.
And thirdly, Spiritism offers a framework for that understanding.
Okay.
It connects suffering to our spiritual evolution.
Yeah. And it provides tools for navigating those tough experiences.
And for coming out the other side transformed.
So we're not alone in our struggles.
No.
There's this higher power guiding us. And our experiences, even the painful ones, serve a purpose in our spiritual journey.
Right. And I think the most important takeaway is that through love, compassion, and connection with the divine, we can move beyond suffering and find lasting peace and fulfillment.
It's a powerful message.
It is. And I hope it resonates with our listeners.
Me too.
Yeah.
It encourages us to approach life's challenges with courage and resilience and a deep sense of purpose.
Absolutely.
And as always, we encourage you to explore the source material further for an even deeper dive into these ideas.
Yeah, there's so much to uncover.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, and remember, even in the midst of suffering, there's always potential for growth, healing, and transformation.